Hello, friends. Steve here. Today is Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. That seems how it works. And this is the last day of the spectral month of liberation. And so tomorrow starts the 12th month, which I think the crystal is the 12th lunar tone. But tomorrow's a new day, and if I do tarot, or no, if I do a Mayan calendar reading on tomorrow, I'll tell you all about it. I think I've already told you all about it, a few days ago, but I can't keep track of, even though I'm making fewer videos, I still am just kind of rambling on. So let's just start off. I like these videos to be healing fields, just because we'll get something done, and I may do the tarot reading, and I don't know. We'll see. I'll tell you so you don't come here looking for a tarot reading. I won't call it the tarot reading if I don't do one. So we're going to connect to a healing field. You might want to state out loud, I connect to my deep self, connect to my higher self, connect to my highest self. I ground myself to the healing center of the earth. I open myself to the healing power of the One. I let go of anything not useful to me now. And if you want to work with the Hathors, you can state, I choose to work with the Hathors. I ask the higher self to take us through the portal of time to the event that would be of the highest good to release and integrate at this time. And I invite all souls affected by this event to return to the event to release and integrate the energy of the event for themselves. And I ask that we all be placed in a field of protection while we do this work. And upon arrival at the event, I ask the higher self to assist us to release and integrate all energies of the event, gently and easily, fully and completely, on all levels and through all space and time. This is a specific event that we're doing today that's contained within the world healing field. So if you are doing this process with me, you're a person that is going to an event while in a human body to release and integrate the energy of the event for yourself and for the world. So that's how these world healing fields work. You volunteer. Yeah. I like that better. That pillow didn't have a black. It was like a little crinkle in it. I was looking and seeing like, what's the, because I took the green other pillow off to use it to get a little more height. That explains something you didn't need to know. Okay, so we're going to be working with the energy of this field we've gone back to. And so I've had this thought just the last day or two to make a video and take people back to an event to release and integrate. And I go back to these events. There's an aspect of myself that travels with you to this event to help ground the energy of the event as you release it for yourself. And that's what I do in a healing session with my individual clients. So today I thought it might be useful and worth a go for me to talk you through what you might be experiencing and then watch you change it. And so if you'd rather just work the healing field on your own, then just hit the pause button and then just feel what you feel, notice what you release. Notice the things that come out for you physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. And then come back later, hit the, play button, and then kind of go to the end of the video where I'm closing down the field. But if you stay, I'm going to walk you through this. So this is the process of what is referred to as observational healing. I never work on people's energy. I don't send energy. I work with the field of relationship, which there's you and there's me, and between you and I, once we're aware of each other, there's a field of relationship that is ours. That's what I work with in a healing field. And so whatever is in the field of relationship, so whether it be the world healing field, which is a field of relationship I have with the world, or it's an individual and the field of relationship I have with an individual within the world healing field, the whole purpose is I have skills of releasing, grounding, and assisting the integration of energies of an event. So how you recognize what's going on, or how I recognize what's going on, possibly with you when I'm working with an individual, I recognize what I feel on one level physically in the body. So and I'm relating this to the event we've gone back to. So we went back to the event and I began feeling this feeling. Now the feeling is of some discomfort, a bit of discomfort in the solar plexus, and a feeling of pressure in the solar plexus. So I'm going to be guiding you through this process. So in the future, when you do this, if I don't do this and you do it on your own, you'll be better at it if you practice these things. So we go in, we feel this pressure in the solar plexus. So that's a physical sensation, just a bit of pressure. And then I might, how I do it, and I'll describe, how you can do it. The next thing I do is I check for any areas that attract my awareness on an emotional level. So when I think of where my attention is drawn on an emotional level, it feels like it's drawn to the center of the chest. So now I have what it feels like for me, and it may be different for you, but what it feels like for me is a contraction. So if this is my hands outside and this is my chest, my sternum, right about there, and it feels pulled in or contracted or pulling away, moving from front to back. And when I feel that, so I feel it, it's like this. So I feel it like this. And then I just hold my awareness. Now there's two things. I'm going to separate my hands and just make this area in the middle, this area, into one hand. So let's say that's the feeling now. I've got just one hand in that feeling. And when I feel that contraction, I'm going to drop this down just slightly so you can see a little better. I feel that contraction right there. So when I feel this contraction, I can do one of many things. One of them is I can take my awareness into it and notice what I feel there. The big three in terms of emotions are fear, anger, and grief. Those are the big three. There's lots of others, but I primarily am aware of those unless something else comes in. When I put my attention on it, my body wants to yawn. Yawn is an indication of the release of stress. And also, it affects the area of the body more related to fight and flight. So I'm checking in and I'm saying, like, oh, and it doesn't need to take this long. I'm doing this as a demonstration. So I'm actually holding the energy here and not releasing it, which I could be doing, but I'm holding it here so we all can feel this, possibly. So I feel this and I yawned, and I know that that's a release of tension, just general tension when you yawn, and you can yawn. And you can feel things releasing. And you can keep yawning and they'll keep releasing. Yawning is a really good way of just releasing tension. And that's a fight or flight area, is the jaw. And then the ears are a grief and loss area. And kind of also the throat is a grief and loss area, but kind of lower down here and somewhat here can be anger areas. So I'm going into this and I'm feeling this and I'm going like, I'm tuning into it with my awareness. I'm putting my awareness here. And I notice that that pressure that was in the solar plexus has gone down. That may have happened for you as well, because we're doing this together. We're just working this energy together. And here, the pit of despair, sadness, is right here. Pit of despair, sadness is really deep, deep sadness. That's despair, hope, a feeling of hopelessness. A little bit up on that same energy, but a little bit up is just melancholy. But the melancholy is a more surface, it can be a deep melancholy, but it's a more surface feeling. But if I drop down, it's just like, oh, hope. There's a feeling of hopelessness. So if you're in that place where you can feel that, then I want you to just keep your awareness there, but pull yourself, keep an aspect of your awareness there, and then bring an aspect of your awareness out of there. And notice if it feels easier for you when some of your awareness comes out of here into here. Now, the awareness here is what could be termed your mature self, or your witness, or your observer. You're noticing what's happening here, but you're not in it. But an aspect of your awareness is still there. So you still feel this. You may still feel the solar plexus. And I'm just going to put my thumb and my finger, my little finger on the solar plexus, my thumb on this tight area. And then I have this awareness of my consciousness, this observer, this witness of this event. And here, the deep depths of despair are easier to observe. You're not caught up in this, but you can feel the caught upness of this, possibly. And there is an aspect of yourself that has been holding this outside of your conscious awareness for possibly many years. Maybe some traumatic event happened to some younger part of you who then locked that energy here. And you can get triggered and you can go, whoa, what is that? What is that? What is that? And you do that long enough to shut it down again. And that part takes it back in and you go, oh, good. It's over. Well, no, it's still sitting there. So you have this aware part of yourself, your observer, your witness, your mature self. You could call it your Wally Balla, whatever. It just is a different aspect of yourself that's not in the event, but an aspect of yourself is in the event. And what helps that aspect of yourself that's in the event is a feeling of space. And that feeling of space can help this aspect of yourself relax a bit and loosen its hold on these energies that haven't been able to be integrated because they've been held onto out of fear or grief or anger. They've been held onto and tried to keep it out of your awareness. And it has remained mostly out of your awareness, except off and on when you're triggered, for however long it was since this happened. So by being aware of this part of yourself, being aware of this part of yourself at the same time, you're creating some separation for your observer self, who is whose state is typically compassion and curiosity. So, and it's not a mental realm. I'm just using this as an example. An observer, it takes sensory function. It takes a certain separation and clarity of the experience. So your observer is having is just observing this experience with compassion and curiosity, and this part that holds the trauma is holding it tight enough that you don't really feel it so much. So when you give this part of yourself some space, so I'm just going to give it some space, moving my hand away, and then feeling it easier to breathe. And then within that space, I'm going to feel compassion towards this part that's held this for so long, and curiosity about this relationship between the observer and the experiencer. Both are experiencers, but the part that pulled the trauma in is the part that has held those intense energies for however long ago that this occurred. But now this part is feeling compassion, curiosity, and a sense of belonging to something. It doesn't have to stay isolated. So this part can, we just create this space, and this part can just test what happens when it releases that energy if it wants to, if it's the right thing to do right now. What happens when it releases that energy? And you may notice you get more awareness of your legs, more awareness of your feet, on the bottom of your feet. I know this is a hand, but I'm using it as a demonstration. The bottom of your feet is a chakra, and that shock is your chakra and shock sometimes, but chakra is a grounding chakra. You have them in both feet. When you open those chakras up, you feel more of a connection to the earth. Energy is just energy. It's only fear when it's held. It's only grief when it's held. It's only anger when it's held. It's only shame when it's held. Whatever. It's only the vibration it is because it's held at tension, just like the string on a violin, you know, and you have a tuner. And so you go, it only has the sound and the vibration, based on its tension. So when you release this area, you release the tension of this area, then the energy that was connected to that tension has space to come out, and then we can integrate that energy and begin grounding that energy into the earth. And then if there's more energy, then you do the same thing. So I'm just going to do it again, because you can feel if you still have the tension in the chest, then you go ahead and hit the pause and just work with that in the ways I've just shown you. But if that tension is gone for you, if the tension is gone into your solar plexus, then I'm just going to say the next tension that I feel is in the back, lower part of the rib cage, where the kidneys, and I just kind of can tell vibrationally, the kidneys have to do typically, and the adrenals are attached to the kidneys, but the kidneys typically have to do with fight or flight. So it felt like a lot of grief came out of this, but when the grief came out, there was this feeling of fear or fight or flight or freeze, and it felt frozen. It felt like there's this part of the body that was kind of locked up from this experience, not having released it. So again, you feel that area. If it feels tight to you, you feel its tightness. If you want to go into it with your awareness, you can maybe feel the emotion of fear that's there, and then you can come back out of it again. And then you stay in this observer, this witness, this mature self. You stay in this consciousness with your awareness, your compassion and curiosity on this area of tightness. And then you can imagine there being space around it, more space. And with that space, you can feel the energy begin to free up and begin to move. And that energy tends to run out through the feet. If we have good grounding energies to ground that energy, it tends to run out through the feet. But more and more lately, it has also felt like it tends to just go out from the body as well. So I checked that. That tension that was there is not there. If it's still there for you, hit the pause button and just be with it. Or if it cleared that fast for you, then just move on. The next place that I feel is another area that I would, just because of my experience, I would relate to another area of fight or flight or fear, and that's where the hips attach to the pelvis. So it may also, you may feel it in your shoulders. Fight or flight are kind of the same energies, just different actions. If you're in fight, then your flight may go boom and punch the thing you're afraid of, or it may just be you run, or it may be you just freeze, play possum. But these are involved in the running, the hips are involved in the running, and maybe kickboxing as well. But the tension of that fight or flight in freeze can end up in your shoulders and or your hips. So in this case, it's in the hips and the shoulders. So again, tune into it. Feel, if you do, the tension in the hips, in the femur heads, where the leg bones attach to the upper leg bones are the femurs. They attach to the ilium in the acetabulum. You don't have to know all that stuff, but that's just where they are. And that tension you feel is kind of right across the groin, right right through, a little bit above and through the pubic bone. So that area of tension, you can be aware of it. You may feel your feet get tingly and begin that energy beginning to move. I feel the knee opening up. I feel that some tingly in the upper part of the leg, the calf muscles, the front part of the legs, and I feel the feet getting very tingly. And I stay in this observer mode, but I really feel, you know, I can feel from a distance. I can feel that energy freeing up in the um, femur heads. I can also feel it freeing up from the shoulders and from the jaw, from the base of the skull. And that is released. And if you feel like you need more time, hit the pause button. Work with it a little bit more. But some of you will be keeping up with me and finding out that when you let it go, you let it go. Okay, that's it for the energy of the event. Sometimes there'll be more areas, sometimes it'll take longer, but for this particular event, those were the areas that were involved: the solar plexus, center of the chest, rib cage in the back, lower rib cage in the back, the femur heads, and the shoulder joints. The occiput, the sphenoid, which is the bone right here in the temple area, and then the temporal mandibular joint, the atlas. Those are all fight or flight, and those are all fight or flight energies. The shoulders, the hips, lower rib cage. Okay, so I'm not. I'm going to just check on the time. That was 27 minutes, so I'm just going to publish this as a class in healing. I'm also just going to do the final closure of a healing session and try to keep it under 30. So I ask the higher self and our soul group to assist all the souls that return to the event to combine with that part of their soul that had remained at the event and bring that combined soul back into their body in present time with all of its wisdom, power, and clarity, its compassion, its curiosity, and its kindness. And with love and joy, I ask all the souls to ground themselves in the healing center of the earth and open up the portal for the delivery of the new energies into the earth at this time. And I ask that these new energies be brought in now. And that they be activated. And I let the universe and beyond know that this has been done and that it's good. Okay, that's the healing session for today. If you notice some things, you want to write it in the comment section. That could be helpful to someone else who maybe didn't feel this or didn't feel that. And if you felt something or you noticed something, go ahead and write it in because it may correlate with something someone else noticed. Because healing, it in some ways it can be an individual experience. You may just have an experience of healing. And there's also this world healing field that you're doing this healing work within. So it's a large community of beings supporting transformation on the planet for anyone who is participating in this experience of change, excuse me, and healing. That's it for now. And it's been a pleasure to do this with you, and may it serve you right, and may it serve you well. And now must go change. Okay, that's Once I find a little black dot, I can say Arrivederci.